Hi everyone, it's Julia. I have been watching a lot of videos on how to make these little face masks, and I wanted to share with you today the one that I like the best. And I'm going to link it down below, give her the credit for this. But she uses upcycled t-shirts for the straps, which is a really great idea because elastic does not bleach very well. If you've ever had a nice swimsuit and you went into a pool with chlorine, you'll realize what I mean. It just loses its elasticity and it breaks down. And I thought that the t-shirt was a great alternative because it does stretch and is very comfortable to wear. A lot of these items in this particular mask are things that you have on hand, and that too I thought was a great idea. It does have a wire for the nose part, as well as a back insert or place to put a filter. And I'm going to share more about this filter later and what I used for that. It's a very easy project, so let's get started. The supplies that I use for this is a piece of cotton fabric cut 8 inches by 14.5 inches. And those straps made from a t-shirt, you need 4 of them cut 1 inch by 14 inches. For the wire for the nose, the best thing that you can use are the little twist ties. I did not have any that weren't used, and so I am going to use a piece of craft wire. This is wire that is covered in plastic. A floral wire would also work. And you're going to need 10 inches of it. Another thing too possibly is a pipe cleaner, which I did not have either, but that would also work. For the straps, I have a t-shirt that an old one that I had in my closet. I cut the hem off first, but then I am cutting 1-inch strips. Cutting the side seams away first and then gently just pulling these, and these t-shirts will automatically curl once it's gently tugged like this. And now cutting my strips into 14 inches. Need one more here. Just gently tugging it and then cutting it to the 14 inches. Onto my piece, I'm going to edge stitch this with my serger. You can also use a zigzag. This is going to be the opening for that insert, and it just lasts longer and looks nicer if that is finished off. Just at my serger, and I'm finishing off both sides of that. So this is the short side, which is 8 inches. I have my piece now with those edge finished sides together, measuring down 1.5 inches from the top and 1.5 inches from the bottom, and just placing a pin. To my sewing machine now, and I'm going to stitch this seam just to the pins, about 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to be going back and forth just to knot my thread. And now I have this hole, and I'm going to press open my seam allowance, and I'm also going to press open the seam allowance on this insert hole. And I'm going to top stitch this opening just to keep that open, that seam allowance laying flat and open. To do this, I am stitching in the round, so I'm stitching on the inside and just edge stitching that seam allowance open on that opening. When I get to the bottom here, I'm going to go straight across and go back up the other side. and then across the top. It's all finished off now. Pressing it one more time so that seam allowance goes down the center and onto the straps. And I'm placing those straps through that opening into each of the corners. So they're laying in there at a diagonal. And placing another pin. And again, going through that opening and placing that right in the corner. Getting that last one in place. Now back to my sewing machine, and I'm going to take about 1/4 of an inch seam, going back and forth a couple times, making sure that I catch those ties. Once that is stitched, just trimming my corners. And turning this so that the right sides are out. Poking out those corners and those ties. And then ironing everything flat. Now my seam is going vertically in the back, and I'm flipping it over, and the next is to put the tucks in. I'm eyeballing this, but I'm going down about 1 1/4 inch, and then tucking it about 1/2 an inch. So I have a 1/2 inch fold there. I'm placing a pin, going to the other side, eyeballing about 1 1/4 inches down, and then folding it so I have about 1/2 inch fold, and placing my pin. Going down about 1 inch, again folding it so I have about 1/2 inch fold, placing my pin, going to the other side, doing the same thing, about 1 inch down, and taking that 1/2 inch tuck, measuring it up a little bit here and eyeballing it just to make sure that it's somewhat even. This does not have to be perfect, especially if you're making dozens of these for families, neighbors, friends. Down about another inch, 1/2 inch tuck, and placing a pin. And then one last one over on the other side. You're going to have a total of 3 tucks. I'm going to give this one last press before I take it to the sewing machine, just to get those creased and pressed flat. And I'm going to stitch this twice. I'm going to go over it 2 times on both sides. Now for that nose piece, you want to get the top, you want your tucks going down. So you want to place that at the top of your little mask. Use 2 bread ties if you're going to use bread ties. I'm going to be using my wire since my bread ties are all twisted. Cutting that wire at 10 inches. Now I don't want this wire to be poking out, and so I am going to take my needle nose pliers and just do a little spiral at the top, at both ends. I just wanted to turn that under so it's not sharp. And then folding this in half. So you're going to have about a 4-inch doubled wire here. And again, you make sure that you're going into the top of this, so your folds are all going down. And getting that all the way to the top. I'm going to be placing a couple pins or clips just to make sure that that stays right up against that fold edge. And I am going to be stitching 1/4 of an inch seam, making a casing so this wire does not move around. It's just going to be stuck into place. My wire's all stuck into place now, and you can form that however you need. And now for the filter. I am using a HEPA certified vacuum cleaner bag. And I am cutting the sides and the bottom so it lays flat. Now I don't know, I'm not a scientist, I don't know if this is going to be the best thing for this, but it's something that most people have on hand, and it is a filter. And so I'm just going to cut a piece 4 inches by 5.5 inches for each of my masks, and these just get placed inside and can easily be removed and changed. And that's what my little mask looks like. I have some pictures at the end here. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Bye for now.